A sharp, crisp crack rings out. A glossy bar of tempered chocolate splits cleanly in two, exposing a smooth, dark interior. The sound lingers, then fades into the quiet hum of a sun-drenched kitchen. The host stands at a marble counter holding a heavy, raw cacao pod. It is rough, textured, and feels worlds away from the refined piece just broken. "From tree to bar," the host says, turning the pod over to inspect the stem. "Make real chocolate at home." The light catches the surface of the pod, highlighting the deep, earthy tones of the husk. This is the starting point of a transformation that turns bitter, raw seeds into a culinary masterpiece. The host places the pod down, the sound echoing against the stone surface. Curiosity builds as the reality of the task sets in. "Today," the host continues, reaching for a blade, "we turn these bitter seeds into something entirely different." The journey from the tropics to this kitchen begins now. Every movement is deliberate, setting the stage for the complex chemistry that lies ahead. The scene shifts to the humid, shaded canopy of a tropical grove. Cacao trees stand heavy with fruit, requiring years of growth to reach this point. The host drives a curved blade into the stem, and a vibrant, orange-hued pod drops into a waiting hand. A clean slice reveals the interior, rows of seeds encased in a thick, white, sticky pulp. The host scoops the beans into a wooden crate, the first step in a process where time becomes the primary ingredient. Fermentation is the soul of the chocolate. For 6 days, the beans remain in the heat, trapped in the crate. The host turns the mass daily, ensuring the air flows evenly through the pile. The thermometer climbs steadily, hitting 45 degrees Celsius. Inside the crate, the chemistry is relentless. The scent in the air shifts, moving away from a sharp, biting acidity towards something deeper, richer, and distinctly fruity. Once the moisture levels drop, the beans are spread across drying racks, left to the sun to finish the work. The transformation is nearly complete. The dried beans arrive in the kitchen, their surfaces dull and shriveled after the sun-drying process. The host pours them into a preheated oven, the sound of the beans hitting the metal tray sharp and rhythmic. As the heat rises, the air in the room undergoes a sudden, dramatic change. A rich, roasted aroma fills the space, heavy and intoxicating, signaling the release of the deep flavor compounds. The host monitors the progress, watching for the exact moment the roast reaches its peak. Once the timer dings, the beans are pulled out. They cool on a wire rack, the heat radiating off them in waves. The host then moves to the mechanical phase. The sound of the shells shattering is constant, a dry, papery crunch. A fan is positioned nearby, blowing a steady stream of air. These nibs are the pure heart of the cacao. The host gathers them in a bowl, the dark fragments gleaming. The dark nibs are poured into the stone grinder. The machine hums to life, and the heavy granite wheels begin their slow, rhythmic rotation. Friction is the engine here. As the nibs are crushed, the heat builds, melting the natural cocoa butter within the beans. The solid fragments disappear, replaced by a thick, dark, flowing liquid known as cocoa liquor. The host adds sugar and a pinch of milk powder, the mixer churning the mixture until the texture turns velvet smooth. This is the point of no return. The liquid is now a rich, viscous stream, but it is unstable. The host moves to the final, most critical step, tempering. This is a game of precision. The chocolate must be cooled and reheated in a specific sequence to force the cocoa butter crystals into a stable, uniform alignment. The host monitors the thermometer with total focus. If the temperature spikes too high, the structure collapses. If it drops too low, the chocolate sets prematurely. The liquid is stirred constantly, the motion steady and deliberate. The goal is a glossy, snap-ready finish. The host watches the sheen on the surface of the cooling pool, looking for the telltale sign of crystallization. The pressure is absolute. Every degree matters. The tempered chocolate is poured into the molds, a thick, glossy ribbon that fills every corner. The host taps the molds firmly against the counter, sending small air bubbles to the surface where they pop and vanish. A final chill sets the structure, locking the crystals into their stable, brilliant form. The host flips the molds, and the bars release with a clean, sharp sound. They lie on the table, surfaces gleaming. This is the result of every step, from the initial harvest to the precise heat control. The host picks up a bar. He breaks off a piece. The snap is crisp, echoing through the room. He takes a bite, the chocolate melting instantly. It is earthy, intense, and entirely his own creation. Check the description for the full recipe and start today.